In order to talk about Sea of Stars, we have to fittingly travel back in time a bit. In early 2021, I played through and reviewed The Messenger. The Messenger blew my mind and was a game that I was so impressed by that the second I finished it, I quickly hopped on Steam to find the developer in order to buy another one of their games. To my surprise, The Messenger was their only game listed on Steam. Well, there was a free DLC for The Messenger as well, but no other original IPs. In amazement, I took my search to Google and stumbled upon Sea of Stars. While I believe the release date was only listed as coming soon at the time, I knew for a fact I'd be playing this game when it came out. I patiently waited, seeing tidbits of news and information here and there, and on August 28th this year, it finally released. As I booted it up for the first time, a bit of fear washed over me. What if I hyped up this game too much in my mind and it's going to be a disappointment? Well, let's talk about it together and see. This video is going to be broken down into two simple sections. The first is going to be a spoiler-free review. I want to showcase all the things I absolutely love about Sea of Stars with a hopeful intention of persuading you to buy and play this game. It has so much to offer for gamers who are fans of this genre and goes above and beyond in almost every aspect. The second half of the video will be heavy with spoilers, with me talking about my criticisms of the game and discussing a lot of the major story beats. I'll make a very clear spoiler warning before I start to give anyone a chance to get out of here before all the good stuff is spoiled. Sea of Stars is a turn-based RPG heavily inspired by classic retro RPGs such as Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG, Secret of Mana, and more. You play as Valir and Zale, who are children of the Solstice. These two are trained from childhood to channel their respective affinities of moon and sun magic. These two are tasked with ridding the world of Dwellers, which are abominations created by the Fleshmancer. While the story begins in a fairly simple fashion of being the chosen ones and having a big bad guy to hate, there's more nuance to the story than initially meets the eyes. While I personally felt that the narrative took a little time getting going, I was really hooked by the characters, most notably Garl, the warrior cook. When it comes to presentation, Sea of Stars gets full marks from me. I've always been a massive fan of pixel art, and Sea of Stars does more than deliver. There are enchanting environments that do an excellent job of capturing the unique feel and essence of each area. This, tied together with distinctive enemies, all with unique appearances and animations, makes the world feel like it's alive. Even cooking in the game is showcased with gorgeous art for every different dish. I was genuinely awestruck upon seeing this for the first time. Furthermore, there are amazing cutscenes throughout the game that showcase the beautiful world through a different lens of art style. Along with the game looking amazing, the soundtrack in Sea of Stars perfectly fits the overall modern retro feel. The game's soundtrack has over 132 tracks, with some of the songs having multiple versions for nighttime or pirate themes. Sure, some of these tracks are just fanfare that play at the end of a battle, but most of them are full songs for each area and will be different depending on whether it's day or night within the game. Without a doubt, I have my favorites of my own, but I never found myself disliking the music no matter where I was. While music and art are extremely important, most people judge a game based solely on its gameplay. As I mentioned earlier, this game is a turn-based RPG, however, Sea of Stars exceeds the standard of just making selections in a menu. Most notably, timed hits are a major part of the combat. Every attack there's a small window to hit the attack button again in order to deal additional damage, and when an enemy attacks, you can do the same to reduce the damage taken. With spells, there are unique sequences or challenges in order for you to get the maximum effect. Along with timed hits, Sea of Stars implements a system that I personally have never seen in a turn-based RPG game before, the lock system. When an enemy is about to perform a special move, it telegraphs what abilities can be used against it in order to break its concentration. If you break the lock, they don't perform their special ability and also forfeit their turn altogether. Several times I found myself stopping for a few seconds and trying to think through the best method to stop a devastating ability. It's important to note that only certain characters can do certain types of damage, but when you swap out a character into your party in combat, you don't lose a turn. It's a small detail, but it made combat feel much more fluid and less clunky, and indirectly encourages playing with different characters in every battle. All of these things combined transformed combat from just mashing the strongest attacks every turn into strategically choosing what abilities and characters to use in order to break enemy locks. Instead of my eyes glazing over from jamming a certain action, I had to be fully engaged to land time hits, blocks, and strategize on how to best approach upcoming moves. One criticism I often hear of this genre is that there tends to be too much grinding, but here it seems that the experience gain and difficulty has been meticulously balanced. There are no random encounters in this game. The enemies are usually right in the open for you to engage or to attempt to dodge. While I personally engaged with every battle I came across, I never hit a wall or a boss so difficult that I felt compelled to backtrack for the sole purpose of grinding for levels. That said, discussing difficulty may fall into the category of my subjective opinion. This isn't a flex or me bragging, but I never found the game too difficult. I think I died a total of 2 or 3 times, and that wasn't even from a boss, it was just from a random group of enemies that I kept underestimating. I've been playing these games most of my life, so landing time hits or understanding which steps to take to dish out as much damage as possible while staying healthy came to me relatively easy. My personal experience aside, I truly believe the developers threaded the needle on a well-balanced difficulty. I never struggled, but I always had to stay focused and engaged. I never went back to grind trash mobs, but I always kept my eyes out for secret gear to make sure I was at my strongest. In terms of criticisms, I often felt like the characters in the story were a bit lacking. While Garl and a few other characters are a lot of fun and interesting, I ultimately felt that Valir and Zale were as flat as can be. I expected Zale to be hot-headed and rash, with Valir being stoic and calm, but surprisingly they both felt interchangeable in terms of personality. They both got angry at the same time, they both were weirdly mature at other times, etc. As for the overall story, it seemed very by the book for the first major chunk of the game and didn't really spark my attention until much later. I have more to say about the story and my problems with it, but I have to save it later for the spoiler section of the video. In the end, playing Sea of Stars took me back to my childhood. I felt like a big kid again sitting down with Chrono Trigger or Super Mario RPG for the first time. Sabotage Studios pays their respects to the classics they take inspiration from, while still creating a new world and modern experience for gamers to enjoy. The Escapist actually did a documentary here on YouTube about the making of the game that I'll link down below, and I think that you should check it out. One thing that shines through the most in Sea of Stars is the developers' love of video games. It isn't a cash grab trying to sell you a battle pass to turn you into a consistent cash cow. Their appreciation for games oozes from all the detailed artwork, gorgeous soundtrack, and engaging gameplay. Sea of Stars is nothing less than a product of passion that reminds me of a time when gaming was truly magical. Okay, I am officially switching gears and getting to all the spoiler-related talk right now. I will be going in depth about some major plot stuff, so seriously, if you don't want the story ruined for yourself, now would be a great time to head out. Okay, Garl, who is most likely a fan favorite and is arguably one of the best, if not the best character in the game, dies. I was as much heartbroken and shocked by this as I was impressed. Garl pushes Valir and Zale out of the way of the big bad's attack and time freezes for a bit. I kid you not, I literally said out loud in this moment, and I quote, "They're not going to kill Garl. The writers don't have the balls." While this feels morbid to say, I think one of the best parts of this game is Garl's death. He is a lovable character that embodies strength, courage, and kindness. Up to this point, we have seen him resolve conflicts through both combat and conversation. The writers take their time building up this character before breaking our hearts. His death isn't glossed over quickly either. In fact, he doesn't even die immediately. He takes a fatal blow and then clings onto life through a magical spell called Borrowed Time. This allows the user to stay alive long enough to complete one more important task. During his final quest, we see him in pain and fading in and out of existence. It just prolongs the sad scene and culminates in both triumph in the success of waking the sleeper and defeat in his death. At this point in the game, it feels like things come to a screeching halt. Characters, even main characters, die in video games. Having a beloved character die isn't exactly an uncommon trope. However, I think what sets Garl's death apart is how they take the time to really flesh out the emotions of everyone that knew him. We're shown pictures from his funeral and his loved ones going through stages of grief. I honestly cannot recall a main character's death in a video game executed so effectively. I was fully invested into the story at this point, and losing Garl, not only as a strong party member and fighter, but as the ray of sunshine in a dark world, felt painful. Taking the time to slow down, to grieve and process the death of a main character and see how the other characters process it as well, really adds to the emotional power behind this part of the story. Unfortunately, I think Garl's death is one of the best parts of the story and often feels like it outshines the rest. Before I get into the criticisms I have with Sea of Stars, I'd really like to reiterate that I do love this game. Some people tend to take any criticisms whatsoever as a form of attack or tarnish against the product's name. That isn't the case here. While these criticisms are purely subjective, I still feel obligated to share, lest I do myself a disservice as a reviewer. Towards the end of the game, you arrive at the point where you're ready to go off and face the final area and subsequently the final boss of the game. It's at this point that all of a sudden, your companions all reveal that they have other things that they want you to do. These side quests all tie in respectively with the characters and reward you with the character's best weapon or armor in the game. All of these side quests were fun and well worth their time for the items gained, but my biggest complaint is that they all pop up right at the end of the game. I would have absolutely loved to do side quests like these throughout the adventure. I think that either adding more, even less consequential side quests would have made the overall experience a lot more enjoyable. My personal experience essentially boiled down to playing the game, focusing on going through the main storyline, then, when the game is about 95% finished, stop the main storyline and complete all of these side quests for a few hours. While they were all intriguing and fun, it did feel like a major halt in pacing. Furthermore, some of these quests don't seem like extremely dire things that need to take place before going and stopping the big bad. It felt like, hey, I know that pure evil is on the cusp of taking over the universe, but can we go fight in a tournament because I really want to? I realize that all of these things are optional, at least just to beat the game for the neutral ending, but I just wish I would have had access to all these wonderful puzzles and boss fights throughout the game, rather than crammed in all at once at the climax of the narrative. Speaking of the end of the game, the other complaint I have to do is with the two endings. In the neutral ending, you fight Erlina, not even the main bad guy, and then fly off to fight a World Eater in a random space battle. Then it's just over. After it's revealed how to get the true ending, and if you go back and fulfill all the requirements, you go back in time to save Garl's life and come back to fight the actual main villain of the story. Firstly, I realize that this is done purposefully, almost as if the first ending is just a stepping stone to the real ending of the game. You fight the bad guy's right hand, then come back to fight him. It makes sense structure-wise in my mind. Secondly, I don't think this cheapens Garl's death at all. Personally, I view this as the characters bending the rules in order to save Garl's life, rather than Garl never being in any danger at all due to the whole time traveling stuff. Time traveling in stories is always messy, so I want to give a little leeway here. However, what I can't give leeway to is the fact that you have to find 60 collectible conches in order to get the true ending. Full transparency, I am not a completionist. I play games to the end, and if I'm really enjoying my time with it, I may go back and look for collectibles, but I rarely ever feel compelled to 100% a video game. While it's not my personal idea of fun, I do acknowledge and understand that a lot of people enjoy that, and I'm in no way putting it down. However, when you have something as important as the true ending put behind a collectible wall, I fear that a lot of people are going to miss out on it. The neutral ending was so lackluster and unfulfilling that I was left frustrated. I was unaware that there was an alternative ending, and when I finished the game, I was genuinely disappointed. Upon hearing that there was a different ending, I felt like I had to see it in order to give this game a fair review. All of this wouldn't aggravate me so much if the neutral ending was better. Obviously, the ending with bringing Garl back to life is going to be better, but that doesn't mean that the neutral ending has to be flat. After going through this gorgeous game with emotionally compelling moments, just to have it fall flat on its face at the end really shocked me. Ultimately, if the neutral ending was the only ending available, I would have been extremely disappointed overall. While it isn't the definitive ending, I fear that a lot of players will end up thinking it is. In order to get the true ending, you have to find all the conches along with fulfilling the side quests, but on Steam it shows that only about 10% of players and 2% of players on Xbox Game Pass have collected and turned in all the conches. That's a massive majority of the player base who haven't seen the true ending. Of course, some players could still be playing through the game, so the percentages here might not be 100% accurate, but ultimately I think collectibles should be reserved for extra special content. As it stands, the conches unlock the good ending of the game, and without them, I felt left high and dry. Furthermore, while I do prefer the true ending, I definitely still have some issues with it. After fighting and defeating Aeroful, he is kind of just like, "Ah, you win."
Well, see you later.
And then just leaves. Then, once again, our heroes fly off into the sky to shoot magic bullets at this World Eater. If I'm being honest, the shooting section was kind of fun, but it felt really out of place for me. The World Eater is mentioned a couple of times throughout the game, but I definitely never thought of him as the main antagonist, while Aerofull, the true villain, essentially just gets a slap on the wrist and gets to leave. I can only guess that they left the ending open-ended in order for DLC or a sequel for the future. At least, that's what I'm hoping for. If that does turn out to be the case, then I'll feel a lot better about the ending overall, but as it stands, it felt like there was just no true resolution of the story. Even with the story falling a bit short in my opinion, I still loved Sea of Stars. I will play any DLC and any sequels that may come along, and I will definitely be on the lookout for more Sabotage Studios games in the future.